was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Get Out made Jordan Peele an overnight success in terms of Hollywood namesake. And after Get Out, he cemented himself as one of the brightest and most successful directors by just namesake with us, and I think is soon going to be on the same level of people as like Christopher Nolan, James Cameron, or Steven Spielberg, given he just keeps making banger movies, bruv, and audiences keep wanting more and more of his stuff. I do. I don't know about you. Nope was released in July of 2022, so last summer, starring Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya. Written, directed, and produced by Jordan Peele, with cinematography by the master Hoyte van Hoytema. It had pretty good reviews, but it seemed like the general consensus when it came out, at least from my friend group and rumblings from the internet, so take it with a grain of salt, was that maybe his other two films were just a little bit better. I think that's mostly because of expectations, and well, Nope is all about the expectations. Peele is just playing us. So if you don't like to get played with, maybe Nope isn't for you. You go, nope, not for me. I'll start kind of getting into the speculation surrounding Nope. I think the initial announcement of the film, at least with the poster and the title, at least from what I heard, I don't know if it was, on IMDb Pro or whatever, so many people started to speculate aliens. People figured out the acronym Not of Planet Earth, Nope, N-O-P-E, and the teaser trailer during, I think it was the Super Bowl? Well, at least a teaser trailer dropped during the Super Bowl. That all but confirmed we got aliens on our hands. So I'm going to get into spoilers here. It's best if you have watched the whole film. So if not, see ya. Peele is so genius with his misdirection and expectations that come along with working in genre films like this. So when the scene in the horse barn is going and you see the little alien pop up, stand up, it's genuinely creepy because you're like, okay, this is it. This is aliens. This is what this is. But then you find out it's just a little prank, which I guess again it's about expectations. It's totally acceptable to kind of jump up the bandwagon at that point, because there's also a hilarious jump scare of a praying mantis over the camera. But I find those things amusing because I think he's just playing in with expectations and misdirection. There was a very dumb second trailer that the studios put out, Universal, that flat out showed the ship, as we also expected that it was some sort of UFO flying alien machine. But Peele also knew that this was going to happen, and even if the studios spoiled the film, he finds a way to still subvert audience expectations and still give us something fresh and new with this. The whole craft is a very much so alive beast that is the shape of a typical round UFO, but sucks up the masses of people and animals like an aardvark straight from the sky. And they all fly up, and then he takes them off, and sometimes the ship looks like a flying sombrero. Remember that one poster with Stephen Yeun? It's literally in the poster. The film is very much so like nothing we've seen before, at least I don't think. Sure, you get taste of other things in here, but I think Peele's great at that. He gives us typical genres, but plays around with those genre expectations so much. There are Western vibes, totally. I think first and foremost it might be a Western. Obviously science fiction thrown in there, thriller vibes, and then plain horror creature feature vibes. And it all mixes to make a very unique experience. Spectacle is the name of the game in Nope. It even starts with a quote. I will cast abominable filth at you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle. Nahum 3:6. It's a very scary quote from the Bible. So yeah, it starts with a quote on spectacle and ends with a giant extended sequence number that is nothing short of a spectacle in and of itself. We make stories out of spectacles, no matter how terrifying they are. Stephen Yeun's character is burdened by a tragic spectacle that he has turned his whole life into, or he's forced into, to make a living like this. That one incident from when he was a child star, it traumatized him, and now he's surrounded by it. Then he tries to wrangle in a newfound spectacle of the UFO in the area by making a show out of it as well. It's this bad cycle of how spectacle tragedy has been a burden on him, so he tries to take it and control it himself with a new one, and obviously it doesn't work out for him in the end. So I think peeling back the layers of it more, it's exploitation of the spectacle. Peele says that many times about exploitation, and clearly that could have a lot of meanings underneath it that covers known or unknown exploitation, conscious or unconsciously, with consent or without consent. Daniel Kaluuya's entire character motivation is proving that his father's death was not just some random accident. It wasn't just some a quarter falling from the plane, from a random plane that lodged into his father's skull. He asks his sister if she's ever heard of a bad miracle. Yoon's character definitely experienced something like that, and now Kaluuya wants to try and do the same. First and foremost, he wants to prove to the world, and maybe to himself as well, that this creature in the sky was the reason for his father's death, and he also might get something a little bit out of it for proving that it's real. But I think the reward for it is very clearly secondary for his character, for OJ. I think that's clear because by the end he just wants to kill it. Daniel Kaluuya puts in a really great performance. It's just an amazing performance. I love this guy's temperament here, and hearing him talk about it, it's really exactly what you want. He's just a well-adjusted, calm, and focused man. He's in his own world.
I knew OJ, for me, the key of him is his connection with the horses. They're his friends, like genuinely his friends. And so I knew I had to understand animal life at a different level.
You have these little instances where, like when he's directing Angel with the camera, where he's talking to him like a horse, like an animal, he's, making those kind of noises, what you would do for a horse. And it the bit on the soundstage, the introduction for Emerald, for Kiki Palmer's character, that's a great scene. I think it shows their differences pretty clearly and shows each who they are. Obviously you have the one that's a little more introverted, and she's quite a bit more out there. She's the showman of it. She got that from her father. It also gives a little bit of exposition in a little more of a non-obvious way. Another little very interesting character bit is when we see Kiki, Emerald watching the tapes of her father's old performances, how like she just rambled off, welcome to Haywood Horses, where we do horses, blah blah blah, that speech. She has tapes of her father saying the same thing, and there's a really subtle thing where he says, it was my great grandfather, it was two greats, and then we see when she's saying it, she says great grandfather, but then OJ has to remind her there's another great. He's like, there's another great, because all she does is watch those tapes. She takes so much from her father, she forgets that there's another great. It's a really little fascinating character tidbit. I watched this again after I had a little UFO kick this summer. I recently got into these UFO documentary series on Max, and it turned me from a hard non-believer of extraterrestrial life to a skeptic. I'm skeptical of the idea of intelligent extraterrestrial life, but would not be surprised if you find living organisms elsewhere than Earth. I think this was a prime time for Nope to come out after the US government released the Navy footage. Brandon Pereira's character even talks about it. How they call them UAPs now. The script is obviously just very well written too. It's well rounded. The SNL Gordy sketch plays in so many levels because it's hilarious. First off, it sounds like a legit SNL sketch. and Steven Yeun's delivery is just chef's kiss. The cinematography is always stunning. Hoyte van Hoytema, his framing is just perfect every time. This is juicy framing. It is. I love the Agua Dulce landscape and the western backdrop to the sci-fi piece, but that's not even the main talking point around the film. It's the whole crazy day for night photography that they did. Insider recently broke down the day for night photography because it was relatively secret for a while. We had all speculated that it was day for night and that the rumblings of this infrared dual photography thing that they're going on, but the Insider video does confirm it. So yeah, they shot the night scenes during the day. Essentially, they used infrared cameras to make it look a lot more believable instead of, because a lot of day for night, it's not looking real, but the night scenes in Nope are just uber important. It's very important to see the sky. Like, they got the details of how at night the ground looks a lot brighter than the sky sometimes. And in regular day for night photography, you can't do that. You need a lot more information to do in post. So the night scenes just look so good. And also they did these subtle changes in the darkness when a character first walks out into the dark, that it's darker, and as time goes by they brighten it just ever so slightly to like our eyes, how our eyes adjust to the dark. It's amazing. I even implemented that idea into a recent film that I'm doing in post right now. Peele is amazing on all levels because not only is he the king of subverting expectations within familiar genres, but he's just an amazing writer. How things come together and callbacks are just great. He's also an innovator, willing to try out new things like the day for night photography, film with these IMAX cameras. They probably got a good deal with that because they're it's almost like an advertisement for IMAX with the IMAX film camera that the one guy uses. But he's trying to create the next original big summer event. It's super encouraging as a little fella like me. But we now have this black lead western sci-fi thriller picture out there that hails the behind the scenes of filmmaking, sheds a little light on black history even, and is nothing like you've seen before. I can tell you that much. How many times have I said that? It's nothing like you've seen before. And it checks off a lot of boxes for the studios too, but it's also just a damn fun film, and at the end of the day it still feels personal, and most importantly, a Jordan Peele film. Some little things that I'd like to mention. I like Brandon Pereira. He is funny. I like him. We did all fall in love with him, Peele. We did. Whoa. I want him to be in a lot of things now, and he's going to be in the Twisters, the sequel, The Twister. I don't know what else I guess he's attached to right now. Well, obviously nothing. Everything's in hiatus. Michael Wincott playing this holier-than-thou cinematographer. I mean, his voice, it's just like one of those voices, like Ralph Innocent, I think the guy's name is, that one guy. That deep gravelly voice, it's so amazing. One of my friends thinks his character pushes, just a bit too hard with his monologues. It makes it a little bit too goofy. But I welcome it. I love it. And it gives us moments like this.
Come up here with a non-electrical camera. Let's go, boy! Yeah!
The music is great too. It's part western, part thriller, part sci-fi, obviously, and it blends everything together really well. Michael Abels is the composer. The opening of the film is also just fascinating. It's just gripping, and it sets the tone so clearly. They actually show their hand fairly early, and it serves really well on rewatches. The digesting scene is terrifying. I really like how they shot that scene. The sound design overall is great and terrifying. It reminds me of, Spielberg's iconic sound design of like War of the World. Just another iconic soundscape, sound design of the creature, of everything. People in the entity are digested over a long period of time, so you mostly hear the entity coming by, people screaming in the sky. It's like a roller coaster floating above you. It's the other regularly thankless production designer, Ruth De Jong, who recently did Oppenheimer. It's very similar town build of the town of Jupe to Los Alamos, so it makes sense that Nolan must have liked Nope. So she's worked on many things too. Since this film is as much of a critique on the film industry and the exploitation of tragedy and people as it is also a love letter to the production of films, Peele says it himself, he hates the industry as much as he likes it, so it's important to note all of the hands that built this film.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap.
Nope has probably become my favorite of Peele's work so far. To me, it's just his most accessible. Not for obvious reasons, but it's just, I love Spielberg and the Spielberg-ness of Jaws and all of his other creature flicks, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those are some of my favorite films ever. So when you see something new, but from a new person, it's awesome. And so, of course, I'm gonna eat this up. Can't wait to see what Peele's up to next. Whatever it is, I'm there. All right. This has been Andrew. See ya.